Hello, everyone. Welcome to Look, Real News by Real People. Thank you for joining us. It's our second episode. Maybe I shouldn't say that because if you didn't know it was our second episode, now you might be like, oh, I want to wait till they really get going and find their voice. So I'll wait till like episode 20. But I said it. So anyways, it's our second episode. And welcome. I'm Steve Lookner, by the way. This is Right Side Broadcasting, in case you didn't know. We're really excited to bring the show to you tonight. I'm just going to get the technical stuff out of the way first. So if you were around last night for our show, you know we kind of like to make things a little interactive around here because this isn't, I think you can already tell, this isn't a mainstream media type of show. We're not dressed like the mainstream media. We don't have the anchors who look like models like the mainstream media does, and we don't have the big fancy set. Well, we have an awesome set, but it's not like, it's a city. But we don't have our giant fancy buildings and we don't have our building on 6th Ave with like the window and all the people waving behind, during the broadcast. We don't have that stuff. But though we don't think that kind of stuff the mainstream media does is real news by real people. This is real news by real people. I'm a real person. I think you're a real person. So, we're just going to talk about news, talk about current events, talk about it the way real people talk about it. So, let's get started, shall we? Oh, I forgot something. One of the things we do here is we try to make this interactive here. As I was saying before, we don't want this to be us telling you what to think. We want this to be more of a conversation between us and you. Here at Right Side, we love hearing feedback from all of you out there. So, during the show, if you would like to give direct feedback, you're not going to see this on MSNBC. You're not going to see it on Fox News. You're not going to see it on CNN. If you'd like to give feedback during the show, you can direct message me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @Lookner. That's at Lookner. And you can direct message me even if you're not following me. Although, why aren't you following me? No, that's totally fine if you don't want to follow me. It's up to you. Although I love getting follows, and so I can send tweets to you. But direct message me during the show. Let me know what you're thinking about the show, what you want us to talk about. Somebody corrected me for making a mistake last night about what year it was, and I was sort of upset that I'd made that mistake. But at the same time, I was very happy to receive the correction. So feel free to offer corrections. Try to keep it clean here. I might read your post, or your message, but not if it's not clean. So keep things clean. So it's @Lookner. I'm going to see right now if we have any messages so far. This is sad. It's sad. There's no, I was thinking last night, maybe no one will send me any messages, but some of you did. But the sad thing now is there's no messages. And now I'm filled with self-doubt. Now I'm filled with just thinking wow, what if everybody hates me now and no one wants to send me any messages? So if anyone's out there, if one of you wants to send me one message tonight, it'll make me feel so much better. Otherwise, I'll be really depressed. So anyways, if you want to send me a message during the show, love to hear from you. @Lookner, DM me on Twitter, and I hope to get some messages. So I'm going to start today. Well, I'm going to do one more time. I'm going to check one more time because I sort of wanted to just address some feedback. Oh, we got a message. I'm so relieved. Okay, this is some normal Benji Gonda who watched last night, and he says, or it's a he says, Steve, I rate the show 11 out of 10. Well, thank you, Benji. That's nice. I think Benji wanted me to show his picture last night. Do I have this right? I think. Oh, yeah. He said, Steve, you're awesome, and show my photo, please. I'm the brown guy. That's how he characterizes himself, not me. So if that's not PC, I don't really care about PC that much. We don't really care that much here. But if that offends you, I'm sorry. But I am going to show his picture because he said we are 11 out of 10 on his rating scale. That's some normal Benji Gonda. He's the brown guy. So, and you can go find him on Twitter if you want. And let's see, any more messages here? Somebody else send me one. Oh, somebody said, Hi, Steve. This is Joanne Goldsnyder, and she said, Hi, Steve. Love the show. You're doing an awesome job. RSBN. Love you, too. Love the backdrop. Okay, so that's from Mac D. Okay, so at least you made me feel better. Thank you. See, by doing that, even if you were lying about that stuff, you made me feel better. That will make for a better show. Okay, we got some real news to get to. Real news by real people. So today, the big story. Now, we don't always have to talk about the big story on the mainstream media here, but I think today it's appropriate. So today, but we're going to talk about it a little differently. So the big story today, if you had the news on it all, is the Jeff Sessions confirmation hearing. So Senator Jeff Sessions from Alabama was nominated as Attorney General by President-elect Trump, and this was the first confirmation hearing today of any of President-elect Trump's nominees. So it's pretty exciting. It's been all day on the mainstream media networks. I don't necessarily think the hearings have been that exciting, but the very fact that they're happening is exciting. So I knew that the hearings were coming up, but just when I woke up this morning, I realized that the Sessions hearings were about to begin, and I was like, man, I've been so busy, there's been so much stuff to cover and to read up about. If you've been following the news, there's all this stuff that's been going on the last couple weeks. And I was like, before these hearings, I really should read up a little bit on Jeff Sessions' background, because I think like a lot of you out there, you lead busy lives and you're into a lot of stuff, and you're not like, even if you've heard of Jeff Sessions, you might have heard of like people say like, oh, obviously the big charge against him that you probably have heard against him is he's a racist. And he hates black people, or he hates, I also not just a racist, like I think some people say he like hates gay people and stuff like that, but definitely some people think he hates black people and he's a racist. And I'd heard this charge repeatedly, and heard this past couple weeks, and like on my Twitter feed, my Facebook feed, people will post these things about how much they hate Jeff Sessions. And as the hearings got started today, I thought to myself, before I watch the hearings, I kind of want to have a little more background on what are these charges people exactly are making against him, like why are people saying he's racist? I mean, I know people are saying it, but why are they saying that exactly? And is there anything to these arguments? So I started this morning doing a little research, just quick research. I was trying to do a little quick research before the hearings came on. And I soon found out that there's like several things that people criticize Sessions. These people who say Sessions is racist, and these people who say he's unfit to be Attorney General, there's like a few specific things that specific arguments they advance. But once I figured out what the arguments were against Sessions and why he's racist or why he hates gays or why he shouldn't be Attorney General, once I started investigating the merit of those arguments, once I started investigating whether those were good arguments and what the evidence behind them was, I got kind of upset. And the reason I got upset is because as I looked more and more into each of the allegations against Sessions, what became clear to me was that the facts were very complex, and that there were no easy answers. And there was no easy answer, like there was no clear evidence that he was racist. Now, what I'm not here to tell you is like, I am 100% certain that all of the allegations against him are false. I can't say that to you in all honesty because I don't know enough about it. Like, you really have to to know something like that, you'd have to do like a lot of research. You might even have to personally know Jeff Sessions. But there's certainly a lot more research you'd have to do than I had time to do. But I can be I am 100% confident in saying this. If anyone just says to you, it's an open and shut case, it's totally clear he's a racist, or it's totally clear like he's not for gay people because of the way he voted on this one law, and he didn't vote against that law because he hates gay people or something. If anyone gives you like a clear-cut like view like this, I think they just haven't done any research and they don't know what they're talking about. And it makes me think now, all of these people I heard putting forth these views, and I'm sure, if you've been surfing the web and you don't just stick to like total conservative sites, you've seen like stuff posted on the web, which is just like, this guy's a racist. He's clearly unfit to be Attorney General, Attorney General because he's a racist. I don't see how anyone can make such a clear-cut statement when they've actually done the research into this. Now, what these people could say is like, there's some questions about Jeff Sessions, and it's hard to kind of figure out whether he's a racist or not based on like the murkiness of what actually happened in the past. And maybe we don't want an attorney general who has such questions. Now, that would be a more plausible position. I might not agree with it, but I'd have to do more research, but that's a more plausible position. But so what I'm here doing in the first part of this show is I'm saying the many people, including like major news organizations who took like very unqualified positions on Jeff Sessions of the form of he's a racist or he opposed this law that would protect gay people, therefore he's not fit to be attorney general. These people like have not done due diligence. They haven't done the research and they don't know what they're talking about. That's frightening to me. I want people on either side of the spectrum, no matter what political view people have, I want people to do their research before taking a strong view. And that's something here we at Right Side support. We're not going to tell you what to think here. We respect you enough. We don't want to like a lot of the news networks, you'll see people telling you what to think. We don't want to tell you what to think. What we want to do is get you all the facts and uncover facts that maybe people aren't talking about and let you decide. And so what I want to do right now is I want to go over some of the specific chief criticisms of Jeff Sessions that people who oppose him for attorney general have made. And I want to talk about some factual facts about those claims that they make that I think show that the question is that the truth is kind of murky, and at best you might say there are some questions we need to answer about Jeff Sessions that we can't clearly answer. But I think once you examine the facts, it becomes clear that you can't just say he's a racist. Like, the facts don't support that. They might support that you might have some questions that we have to do more research about, but they do not support the many people who make these blanket claims, oh, he's clearly a racist. But before I do that, I want to now see if we have any feedback, because this is not the mainstream media. We want to hear from you. So let's see what people might have said here. If I can open it up, let's see what people might have said. Let's see. Dave Seidel wrote, you are the best news out there. Thank you, Dave. He wrote, you are the best news out there, but we Trumpers need to stay angry. I don't know, like, if I'd agree that we need to... By the way, if I disagree, I disagree respectfully. I respect your opinion, Dave, so thank you for saying it. I would say maybe sort of stay vigilant or stay enthusiastic. I don't even know if you mean like angry, because if you're angry at everybody all the time, it's like people... It might be hard to like reach agreement with people, and you know, might be off-putting. So maybe to be charitable, Dave, I'm going to say you mean like stay enthusiastic or stay vigilant. But thank you for that claim. And if you don't agree with me, that's fine. You can write me back and tell me. Let's see. Who else? Oh, Deplorable German wrote, he said, greetings again from Germany to the RSBN family in the chat. He wants us to talk about Obama sending troops to Germany. I'll keep that in mind. I don't know if we'll get to it today, Deplorable, but thank you for writing. And then, let's see. Oh, see, the problem here is I think there's some people are like, anyways, if you want to reach me, don't respond to my tweets. If you want to reach me here on the show, @Lookner, DM me. Okay, so now what I want to do now is I want to get into some of these charges against Jeff Sessions and show why I think that if you examine the facts, once you examine the facts, it just seems false to say, like, he's clearly a racist. So I have to open up, however, my Google Docs document that I wrote my notes in. I have a lot of notes today. Where's my water? Oh, this is so unprofessional. I forgot my water. If anyone's listening to me, Micah or who else is out there? Brad or Jake, if you could bring me a water, I'm a jerk asking you for water. I'm sorry. I would appreciate it because I forgot to bring it in. I'll be good for right now. So anyways, we'll see. Oh, look at this. Maybe. Oh, thank you so much, Jake. Thank you, Jake. Jake's a good dude. He got me water. Okay, so a little background on Sessions if you didn't know it. The big thing talked about about Sessions' background that comes up when people are saying he's racist and he's unfit to be attorney general is in 1986, President Reagan nominated Jeff Sessions, who was a U.S. attorney, to be a district judge. And there were hearings in the Senate as to whether Sessions would be approved for a district judge, and he ended up not being approved, and I guess he was like the second person in a span of 48 years to not be approved by the Senate. And the main reasons he wasn't approved by the Senate to be a district judge, there were two reasons. And the two reasons were, one, he had made certain racially charged comments which supposedly showed he was a racist. That's one of the reasons that they said that the Senate voted against him. This was the Senate, I believe it was the judicial subcommittee, not the whole Senate, that voted against him. The subcommittee said he can't be a district judge, and that killed the nomination. So one charge was that he had said these racially charged comments. And the second charge was that he had, as when he was a U.S. attorney in Alabama, he had prosecuted a voter fraud case against 3 black defendants, and this was supposed to be like a racially motivated case because they didn't prosecute a similar case that they could have against white defendants. And so basically, those are the two things that really came up in 1986. And so you might hear a lot of people now, like this week, who oppose Sessions saying like, yeah, in '86 we saw that he made racist comments and he was a racist judge, and therefore he shouldn't be Attorney General. But let's look at the facts, okay? So first I want to talk about this whole racially charged comments claim about Jeff Sessions. And I would encourage you to do your own research, because I haven't researched every single thing, but the things I did research, I kept seeing sort of more and more things come up which suggested to me, like the facts aren't that clear, and it's not clear that he's a racist. So I would encourage you, like anything I don't cover, go research it yourself, or go do more research on these things if you really want to know about the facts. So, okay, I'm going to talk about a few of the supposed racially charged comments that Jeff Sessions makes. Oh, and I by the way, if you follow me on Twitter, these are one of the benefits of following me on Twitter. I this morning posted a couple of really great Washington Post articles. One of them was about the racially charged comments. And let me give a shout out to the Washington Post. Often I think they're very biased against Trump, and I hate that. I don't think they should be biased against anybody. But they did some really great work in going back in researching Jeff Sessions and actually doing the research about the facts of what Jeff Sessions had done earlier as a U.S. attorney in Alabama. And so a bunch of what I'm going to say here actually is taken from their 2 articles, which I linked to on my Twitter. So I want to give them full credit for this. Not everything I say is from Washington Post, but a bunch of here is stuff I found out by reading the Washington Post articles. So great job, Washington Post. I'm giving you credit. Okay, so one of the remarks that Jeff Sessions said is he called the NAACP un-American. So that was one of the big charges that came up in the 1986 hearings about him, is that he called the NAACP un-American. Now, when you first hear that, and often I go search the web and you'll see people from the last couple weeks, they'll cite this quote and they'll say, Jeff Sessions called the NAACP un-American, so clearly he's a racist. But I went back and I read some facts about what he actually said, and so it's much more complex than that. So basically, and this is from the testimony that Sessions gave from that hearing, it came out that Sessions was originally having this conversation about, I have it down here, the National Council of Churches. This was not a conversation about civil rights organizations originally. It was about the National Council of Churches. And what Jeff Sessions said to people who were there, if one or more people who were there, was like, when an organization like the National Council of Churches, they have their core mission, which is doing whatever church-related stuff they do. But when they start going beyond their core mission and say they start speaking out about foreign policy or international relations, that can become un-American depending on the kind of things they say. Now, I don't know what specific things he was referring to that this group, the National Council of Churches, said. But let me put out an example. Suppose there was an organization whose mission it was to promote certain religious ends and do religious things. And then aside from doing that, all of a sudden they say supported the Communist Party. And this is, remember, during the Cold War. I could see somebody saying that organization is un-American, not because of what they were doing with their religious thing, but because they're supporting the Communist Party and they're saying, hey, we should support communists in other countries and stuff like that. So It seemed to me when I read this that Jeff Sessions here, when he said the National Council of Churches was un-American, that's what he was getting at. They had been, from the context of the hearings, what it seemed like is that they were speaking out about and starting to take positions on international relations and foreign policy, and Sessions thought those positions were un-American, so he said that's why he thought the organization was un-American. And then, further in that conversation, and this is all, you can go check out the Washington Post article or the testimony from the hearing, and you'll see that this is there. So further in the conversation, after he talked about the National Council of Churches, he made a similar point about the NAACP, and he said about them, he said, he didn't say he said he didn't have a problem with their core mission. He didn't criticize their core mission in this conversation, their core mission being to advance colored people and advance them in this country. What he said, he said that if a group like that, and I'm paraphrasing here, so if I don't get it exactly right, I apologize. But what he basically said, my understanding was, when a group like that gets involved in other stuff besides their core mission, specifically stuff like about international relations and foreign policy, they can be un-American. And I believe he said something like, if I called the NAACP un-American, then it was because of things they were of positions they were supporting regarding foreign policy and international relations, not their support of black people. So when you read this, and you read that, then when you hear someone say, well, Jeff Sessions said the NAACP is un-American, therefore he's a racist and shouldn't be Attorney General, it just sounds kind of silly. It's like, well, no, he didn't say they were un-American because they supported black people. He was making this point that organizations in general, and he wasn't just talking about the NAACP, he was talking about the National Council of Churches, am I getting that right? The National Council of Churches, and he made a point about all organizations, and he said if organizations veer from their original mission, and then they start talking about foreign policy, and they adopt un-American foreign policy positions, then they're un-American. If he wasn't totally making this up and lying under oath to the Senate committee, then his comment that the NAACP is un-American, it doesn't at all show he's a racist, because that's not the point he was making. And so anytime you go online and you see or you hear somebody on TV say, Jeff Sessions is a racist because he said the NAACP is un-American, ask yourself, have those people gone back and researched what the context was of that comment? Do they know his explanation for making that comment? I'm guessing the vast majority of people who say that comment shows Jeff Sessions is a racist don't know any of that background. And I think if you know that background, if you're still going to say Jeff Sessions is a racist based on that comment, you kind of have to also say, well, he was lying to the Senate subcommittee about what he meant. And it's like, it's just not obvious. I mean, at best, you might think he was lying to the subcommittee and he really made that comment to mean that that the NAACP shouldn't be advancing black people, and that's advancing black people as un-American. But you just have to create this whole story about him lying about all of this. Anyways, so my basic point is that this comment to me, and this was a comment that was one of the big comments brought up by the Senate hearing in 1986. This comment to me does not show he's a racist. So that's just, oh my gosh. So I took all that time, and that was just one comment. And let me briefly talk about a different comment. I'm going to do this very, very briefly. Another of the big comments that the Senate brought up in 1986 was, he says, this is a quote that Jeff Sessions said, I believe it was in the early 80s. He said, I thought those guys, meaning the KKK, I thought those guys were okay until I learned they smoked pot. So he said that quote, I thought those guys, the KKK, were okay until I learned they smoked pot. And when you first hear that, you're like, wait a second. Jeff Sessions thought the KKK was okay until he learned they smoked pot? He must be a racist. And I'm guessing if you go on Google now and you search, you can find plenty of people who say, Jeff Sessions said this about the KKK, therefore he's a racist. And again, this was one of the big comments brought up in the Senate hearing that ended up resulting in Jeff Sessions getting not confirmed to be a district judge. But briefly on this, here's the thing. When I just did a little research and I found this out. There were 3 witnesses, as far as I could tell, who heard the statement in person, who testified at the Senate committee hearing in 1986. By the way, Jeff Sessions said he was joking. Jeff Sessions said he was talking to some attorneys about this case involving KKK members that they were prosecuting that had come up, and it was sort of like gallows humor. 2 of the 3 witnesses who heard this statement from Jeff Sessions, 2 attorneys at the Justice Department, so not like random people who you don't know who they are, 2 attorneys from the Justice Department testified in the hearing that they thought Sessions was joking. So 2 of the attorneys agreed with Sessions that he was joking about this. And then there was 1 witness who said, no, I took Sessions as not joking. So we have Sessions saying it was a joke, and we have 2 Justice Department attorneys saying it was a joke, and 1 other person saying it wasn't a joke. So once you hear that, and these people all said this under oath, I mean, to me, well, now it's totally it's certainly not clear that he was saying this statement seriously and that he really thought the KKK was okay. To me, we have him under oath and 2 Justice Department attorneys under oath who were there, who heard this, saying, yeah, it was a joke. And one of the attorneys who said that even told other people he knew later about the story. And he said, like, basically, here's a funny story about that here's a funny thing Jeff Sessions said. And he told it as if it was a joke. So, again, once you hear this, to me, if you have an open mind, you say, like, well, I can't really be convinced that Sessions saying this thing about the KKK shows he's a racist, because both he and like 2 of the 3 witnesses said it wasn't a joke. Said it was a joke. So, anyways, that's so. The larger point here is that one of the 2 big reasons Jeff Sessions didn't get nominated in 1986 and that his nomination didn't pass the committee is that he made racially charged comments. But I just told you 2 of what the supposedly big racially charged comments were, and just when you look at the facts, there are just huge questions about these things, and the evidence suggests more than not that these were not racist comments. And the burden is on someone to prove they were racist comments given the factual evidence. Okay, so that's my initial rant. It's not really a rant because I didn't think I was that angry, but my initial point about Jeff Sessions. And so before we move on though, I think what I want to do right now is I want to see if there's any feedback. But I also want to take a sip of water. So I'm going to take the sip of water, get ready to see some feedback. And in general, I would, again, and I'll say this about any of the nominees, I don't think I'll have time this week to do this for all the nominees, but when you hear charges against nominees and they're sort of like very quick charges that seem a little too easy, like clearly a racist, or clearly hates group X, or clearly hates group Y, do some research and see if things are really that clean cut. And you know what? Do it about both parties. If a Democrat wins the election in 4 years, I'm sure, people, obviously a lot of people would be unhappy about that watching this show. But if that happens and a Democrat nominates people, and you hear criticisms of those nominees, don't just take those at face value too. We don't want to let media control us. We want to decide for ourselves. I think that makes for the best country. The best democracy is when people are informed and decide things intelligently for themselves. So research stuff for yourself. Don't take people's word for it. Okay, so I'm going to check the comments right now. Do you think there are any comments? Do you think there are any comments? I don't know. You might see me cry if there aren't any. But let's see. Let's see if people commented. Okay, we have some new comments. So Parade Driver writes, and I don't think we heard from Parade Driver last night, and one of the reasons I think is because Parade Driver is asking a similar question to somebody somebody asked last night whether I had pants on, and the answer was yes. Parade Driver says, do you have trousers on? Now, I don't know if the question is, do you have pants on? Because I do have pants on, but they're not trousers. So I guess depending on the nature of the question as to what trousers was meant, the answer is yes or no. I'm not doing this show without pants, so stop asking me about it, because the answer is always going to be no. But you know what? You're allowed to ask whatever you think is appropriate. Let's see. So let's see. We have somebody else here who I don't think we heard from before. Brandon Myers asks, what do you think the chances of Jeff Sessions being confirmed are? I have not talked to any senators today, but from all of the media I've consumed, everybody who's talked to senators thinks it's a slam dunk and he's going to be confirmed. I've heard nothing to suggest he won't be confirmed. And also, Brandon Myers says, whenever the left says someone is a racist, I look who made the claim, as that is a go-to statement for when they have no real argument. So that's Brandon Myers' view. Sometimes here I'm gonna relate people's views. If I should say, like when sometimes on Twitter people say retweets are not endorsements, sometimes here I just want you to hear what other people are saying. So by no means when I quote someone here, their view, should you consider that as an endorsement by me or the network. We're just letting you hear some of the feedback people have to say. Let's see, anybody else? Maybe I'll do one more. Okay, this is good. So this is criticism, because it's constructive criticism. James L. says, stop saying like, are bad enough, but otherwise good show. You know what, James? I'm gonna try. You know what, James? So it's like your comment is like really good. So like, I'm totally like gonna try. Like James, I will totally like make a huge like effort to stop saying like. Cool. So I'm like thank you, James. Like totally thank you, James. Your name is James L. Does that stand for like? So like thank you, James. No, but seriously, I like that comment. I said like, and I will try my best. You know, sometimes you don't realize what you're saying, so I'll do my best. But if I don't, just keep writing me, James, and tell me that I keep doing it. So I like hearing constructive criticism. Okay, so let's move on, shall we? Let's move on for a second. Maybe I can summarize real quick something else. Let me say real quick about before I move on to the next topic of real news today. You might want to look up. Let me say one quick thing. Let's see if Jake is at the ready. I'm going to have Jake show you something, which is one of the other points I've seen in the mainstream media lately is that Jeff Sessions doesn't like hate crime laws. He's against hate crime laws. And the Huffington Post, like, for example, ran a story with the headline, I think it's something like Jeff Sessions opposes hate crimes laws. And so maybe if Jake, if you can hear me, you can show them that headline of the story. And this is one of these, like, it's a just clear-cut position. He opposes these laws. And this was another one of these claims I'd seen, and I did a little research, and what I uncovered is maybe it's not so clear-cut. And so I'm going to show you a page that I think you should look at if you want to do a little more research on this. It's actually a page I found a page from Jeff Sessions' website, and I just caught this before the show, so I'm not positive exactly what it is, but I believe it's some sort of testimony he gave in the Senate about why he opposed a hate crimes law, and I believe it's from 2009. And it's a big, long speech Jeff Sessions gave, or at least it's a piece of writing he did and submitted, with lots of reasons he gives why he's opposing this specific hate crimes law. And the reasons are things like the law is unconstitutional, or he said, one point he keeps making is he says, look, state and local regulations cover the kind of crimes that this law wants to cover. And I don't think we need this extra federal law for something that state and local laws already cover. And also, if you pass this federal law, you might have a case where someone is charged with a crime on the state or local level and is acquitted for it, and then they have to face another trial on the federal level. So it's a kind of double jeopardy thing. So, and there's plenty more reasoning in this Jeff Sessions document explaining why he opposes this law. But my big point here is, before you just say he opposes hate crimes laws, or before you just agree with somebody who says that, go back, look up the specific law that was being talked about, and find Jeff Sessions' reasons for opposing it. I think any big piece of legislation that Jeff Sessions opposed, you can go find his exact reasoning in quotes on the internet, saying what his reasoning is. And maybe when you go, like when I looked at this document, I didn't like study it, but certainly a lot of the things he was saying seemed plausible. And so I would have to study a lot more to be able to say, no, he really opposed it because he's racist. Also, you'd have to basically say, everything he said in this big document full of reasons why he was opposing the law was, if you want to say he's racist, you got to say that stuff's all like false, and he's really just saying this to cover up that he's a racist. Now, look, you can believe whatever you want. I'm just saying the case is not so clear as the Huffington Post. The Huffington Post, big major site, just prints this headline that says he opposes hate crimes laws. Well, you know, why does he oppose them? Read what he said. Okay, so we're going to move on now. We're going to move on to another topic. So that was the first topic here today on Real News with Real People. And how's your Tuesday going, everybody? Going good. I hope you're not cold wherever you were. We're in Alabama. It was pretty cold the last 2 days, but it's getting warmer now, and it's better. So just so you know. Okay, so the next topic I want to talk about, you know what it's time for? It's time for feedback. I hope nobody wrote again about me saying like a lot. Let's see what people had to say. Let's see. What other comments we have? We have, Billy Ray Fire sent something to us. Billy Ray Fire. Let me make sure it's clean first, Billy Ray, before I read your comment. He said, your show could be an hour plus and would be okay with you. Well, that's good. Thank you, Billy Ray. I'm not sure if it would be okay with our broadcast schedule, but I'll pass it on that it's okay with you, so thank you. Oh, and I should say, I haven't said this since the beginning. I got to read this comment next. So if you want to reach me, we're interactive here. You can reach me during the show. Go to Twitter, @Lookner. Direct message me. Don't comment on one of my tweets because I won't see it. Direct message me @Lookner. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't like. Let me know what you're having for dinner. I might not read it, but you know, at least I'll know, and I'll feel better knowing. We have a comment from somebody named Jacob Seals. Who's that guy? Jacob Seals writes, "You don't sound like you're from the South." Very perspective, Jacob Seals. If you know, you might know who Jacob Seals is, actually. Jacob creates all the awesome music for Right Side, like the Trump rallies. You know that awesome music? That's Jacob Seals. Jacob Seals you can follow on Twitter. He's at Jacob RSPN Music. Look, here's his page. Here's his page right here. It's there. Follow Jacob Seals. He's a good dude, except when he sends nasty things to me during my show. Okay, let's move on, shall we? Okay, topic 2. The second topic I wanted to cover today here on Real News for Real People is something it's a very serious topic, and it's been deeply worrying me, filling me with deep angst the last several days. And it's got me worried for the future of our country. And that topic is NBC and MSNBC hiring Megyn Kelly and Greta Van Susteren off of Fox News. Yes. In all seriousness, I find this incredibly annoying. So, to catch you up, a lot of you are probably aware of this. Megyn Kelly was hired, I believe was it last week, by NBC News away from Fox News. NBC hired Megyn Kelly for some huge amount of money. I don't know if it was exactly reported yet, but some people were saying 15 to 20 million a year. And what they said they're going to have her do is a weekday afternoon show, a special news-related show on Sunday night, and she'd be able to get opportunities to make special coverage of. She could participate in NBC's special coverage of things. So that was the Megyn Kelly news. And the Greta Van Susteren news is that Greta Van Susteren got hired off of Fox News. Maybe she had left Fox News recently. I'm sorry, I can't remember. I think maybe she left Fox News recently, where she did the show On the Record, and Fox News hired her to do, MSNBC hired her to do a show on MSNBC that just premiered this week. Okay, so I want to talk about this for a second. There's some aspects of this that I find bothersome. And I know some people have talked about this already, but I don't feel like their take is the exact same as mine. I'm sorry if it is the same as mine, but I don't think it is. I'm not. If I thought my take on this was going to be the same as other people's takes, I wouldn't be wasting your time now. You're busy people. You have other things you could be doing. So I'm not going to waste your time. I actually think this is a different take. I hope it is. So that's why I'm talking about this, even though it happened a few days ago. So my first take on this whole Megyn Kelly, Greta Van Susteren thing. Well, let me first talk about the Megyn Kelly thing. The crazy thing about this whole thing, one crazy thing is that NBC spent all this money hiring Megyn Kelly, who is a news anchor. And they hired her not to do news. If you've read my Twitter feed, you saw I posted something about this last week. Or maybe actually not, like a couple days ago. They hired her not to do news. They spent $15 to $20 million on a news anchor not to do news. So look at the things she's doing. The main thing she's doing is she's hosting a daytime talk show like Ellen or something, I presume. That's not doing news. Then they say she's also going to host a news-related show on Sunday nights. Note that they didn't say the Sunday night news. They specifically said news-related, which means she's not doing the Sunday night news. And the third thing they said she's going to do is like have opportunities to participate in like special coverage. All of that tells me, this is just my opinion, this suggests to me that they really had nothing specific for her to do, but they just liked the idea of hiring big name Megyn Kelly. Now this might sound strange to you. You might think like, wait a second. NBC is like a giant company that probably is like spends like billions of dollars or at least hundreds of millions of dollars per year. And they're just this huge company. Why would they spend all of this money? Why would any company spend $15, $20 million a year on somebody who they didn't have like this big plan in advance, like this big need for them? Why would they just spend money on somebody who they really had nothing for them to do specific? The thing is, and look, I don't know about a lot of things, but I've worked in media for a number of years. They do things like this. So what I suspect happened, so here, and this is kind of a more general part that's going to apply to Greta too, I want to make. So media executives, I worked a lot of time in media, and so I can't speak about, say, the oil industry. Maybe it's the same in the oil industry or other industries. But in media, you know, when I talk about media, I talk about like news organizations or Hollywood organizations, movie studios, TV networks. People who are executives at these organizations, their goal in life is basically not to get fired. So the way you move up a lot in entertainment is you take your first job is the job on like someone's desk. So you go to like a studio or you go to like a news organization and you work on for somebody who's like a low-level executive, but you work on their desk. Like it's like you're the personal assistant almost. You answer their phone calls and maybe sometimes you do their laundry, like their dry cleaning. You take their dry cleaning to the dry cleaner and you schedule their appointments. And basically, if you do that well enough, you move up. And then you're like an assistant, like a head assistant, and then you're like a low-level executive, and you kind of keep moving up. And a lot of the big way you keep moving up in the media world is you don't offend anyone. And you don't do things that will give people a reason to fire you. This is probably similar to a lot of executive world in general. So you don't want to give people a reason to fire you. But the thing is, like, it's not like a world like if you're playing in the NBA, if you're a basketball player, like even if you make somebody upset, like as long as you score points, as long as you do your job right, somebody's going to hire you, and as long as like you just take care of business and you do specific things well, somebody's going to hire you. But like in the executive world, like everything's got to be defended for. Everything you do has to be defensible when your boss says, why did you do that? Because your whole goal is to keep moving up. And to keep moving up, you got to please your boss. And so these people, these executives who run these media organizations, they have bosses too. So for example, like the people who decide who gets on, like whether to hire Megyn Kelly or not, like who to hire for NBC, they got to answer. I'm assuming NBC execs, NBC is owned by Comcast, so they have Comcast bosses. They might have like shareholder bosses too, and I'm not sure how that works, but I'm pretty darn sure the people in charge of like the news division at NBC, I guarantee you they have a boss and it's some executive higher than them. And so they need to justify whatever they do and justify their existence to their top bosses because they want to keep getting promoted and they don't want to get fired. And so to them, you might think when they pick new talent for NBC, what they're doing is they're finding like the best news reporters and the best hosts and the most talented people. But that's not how it works. Because if they go out, if like the head of NBC News goes out and hires a new anchor and no one's heard of that anchor before, even if the head of NBC News is convinced that that anchor is like the best anchor ever, maybe the anchor works at some local station, but the NBC News executive has been studying this anchor and is like, oh my gosh, this person, I watch them do the news. It's better than anyone I've ever seen. It's just amazing. It's like, this person is like the Mozart of news anchoring. If that news executive goes out on a limb and hires that person, let's say the news executives, they hire the local person who no one's heard of, and then the ratings aren't that good. That news executive's boss, like say the Comcast boss, is going to say, why did you hire this person? And the NBC executive has nothing really to say because it won't cut it for the Comcast executive, for the NBC executive to say, oh, I watched them and they were really good. Then the Comcast executive is going to say, you're fired. The answer the Comcast executive wants is like, oh, you've heard of her. She's really famous. Her show on Fox News did really well, and you've heard of her. Basically, executives want to hire people they know because it's not risky and they're not going out on a limb and they can always defend it. So the NBC executive wants to hire Megyn Kelly because she's a big name. So her boss, even if Megyn Kelly doesn't get ratings on NBC, the NBC executive can just say, well, it was somebody famous and she got great ratings on Fox, so it's not my fault. Not my fault, it's Megyn Kelly. And then the Comcast boss of the NBC exec can say to that Comcast boss they can say to the CEO of Comcast, well, my subordinate at NBC News hired Megyn Kelly, and it's cool that we spent all this money on her because it's Megyn Kelly and she's famous. So it's defensible in this way of they can when they hire Megyn Kelly, they can defend it to their bosses. It's defensible, and so to them in that executive world, and again, this is all my take, but I think I'm right. In that executive world, it's not about hiring who the most talented newscasters are. And I'm not saying Megyn Kelly's not talented. That has nothing to do with this. My point here is that they didn't need her, and she's not doing there what she does. It doesn't, because she was a news anchor. So if you like her, you should be hiring her to be your news anchor. But they're not. They're hiring her to host a daytime show. I bet they don't even know what this daytime show is going to be. But basically, to me, what these NBC executives thought is, if we get a big name, and Megyn Kelly is this hot, big, I'm not saying hot person, I'm saying hot name, because she was very prominent in the campaign, and she's like the flavor of the month in terms of anchors. if they hire Megyn Kelly, they can walk into their Comcast boss office and say, like, we hired Megyn Kelly. She's really famous. You've heard of her. And they can all celebrate, and it makes them look good in their boss's eyes. Now, of course, there are these inconvenient details like, well, we don't have a news show to offer her, and also she's never hosted a daytime show, at least recently that I'm aware, and she might be terrible at daytime touch programming, and her being good at news anchoring has nothing to do with her being a good daytime programmer. I mean, I guess Ellen is a successful daytime program person. I don't know if Ellen would make a good news anchor. It seems like maybe it's a little bit of a different skill set. But anyways, I think they were just happy to get this big name so they could go to the boss and their shareholders and said, look at us, we got this big name, hooray. And all the other stuff that she's actually going to be doing, and the fact that she's going to be doing stuff that has nothing to do with her skill set, and it'll probably be terrible in my opinion. We'll worry about that later. They just don't worry about that. So I just think when I heard about Megyn Kelly getting hired, that's something I thought. I have another point about this. I'm not done with this whole Megyn Kelly, Greta Van Susteren thing. I want to talk about Greta too. But I first want to take a second and look and see. I'm going to see if there's any feedback. You know, in case you came to the show late, you can reach me during the show. This is real news by real people, and it's for real people. And you as real people, and it's with real people. It's with you. And so we're having a conversation with you here. I wish you could all be here talking to me as we did this, except for the guy who said I said like too much. I don't wish he could be here because he made me sad. But I wish you could all be here talking with me and we could talk about this stuff in person. But in the absence of that, you could communicate with me. Go to Twitter, at Lookner. At Lookner is Lookner, and you can DM me during the show. You can also follow me, but DM me, direct message me during the show, and I'll get your direct messages. And some people have direct messages. Oh, this is exciting. We got a message from Dino Costa from the upcoming radio show, The Dino Report. Dino says, I'm feeling so very left out. Hi, Steve, enjoying your talking points very much. Let me say a quick word about Dino. We've already announced this, so I'm not revealing secrets. But Dino Costa is a very talented radio talk show host. And Dino, some of you might be aware, he had a show on Sirius XM for 5 years. He also had shows, I know he had a show in St. Louis. I believe he had one in New York too. So very experienced radio guy and a smart guy and like knows a lot about politics and also about sports, and he kind of mixes the two sometimes, and it's really interesting. Dino is going to start appearing on Right Side Broadcasting. I think around February. I'm not gonna. This is up to Dino, so I'm not committing him to anything. But that's sort of roughly, I think, what he's shooting for. And basically, what Dino's doing is Dino's going to do a new 4-hour show, but he's going to make originally, I think the show is going to be free for a period of time for everybody, and then it's going to be a subscriber show. So eventually, you're going to have to pay for this show, but you're never going to have to pay to watch the first hour on Right Side. The first hour of Dino's show is going to be exclusively on Right Side. You can't get it anywhere else. So we'll let you know when it's going to happen, but in a few weeks or a month or whatever, you will see the premiere of the nightly Dino Report, the first hour exclusively on Right Side. And we think you're really going to like them. And I think it's going to be a take different than anybody you've seen on our network before, and maybe anybody you've seen before ever. So we're excited to introduce you to Dino. So Dino, thanks for writing in. And let's see what else we got. Someone said, let's see, I'm reading this to make sure it's clean. Let's see. Oh, so Teresa Mize, that's M-Y-S, says she's new to Twitter. Well, glad. Twitter should give me a commission when I introduce new people to Twitter through this. So that's something I think should happen. She says, new to Twitter, agree, I would like 2 hours, and you have each assistant. Let's see. I'm not sure what the assistant comment was about, but maybe I'm reading it wrong. But anyways, I want to just say about the agree. So, but thank you for the comment, Teresa Mize. Agree with like 2 hours. Wow. Oh, are we going to ask for 3 and 4 next? No, I love doing this, but we have lots of shows on and we got to get to them. So they're going to kick me off here soon. But thank you. I like that you're liking it. Let's see. We have another comment from, Jacob Seals. I wonder what Jacob Seals has to say. Let's say. He says, Disregard my comment for now about you not sounding like you're for the South. Give Brandon Davis a shout out when you get a chance. Oh, Brandon Davis. We have a new person in the office, Brandon Davis. They don't know if I'm going to do this, but Brandon, do you want to come in? Brandon? Is Brandon out there? Brandon, I want to see you on the show. I want to introduce you. Can you? Brandon? Oh, maybe he's doing something. Anyways, I tried to get Brandon in here. We got a new guy who just started working today. He's a brand new producer at Right Side, Brandon Davis. Really cool guy. He's from Colorado. He has lots of interest about he knows a lot about a lot of varied things. In addition to being an expert on politics, he knows a lot about country music. He knows a lot about pro wrestling. So we weren't able to get him in now, but you will be introduced to him formally soon, so welcome to Brandon. Anyways, okay, so let's get back here. I wanted to finish my thought here. Other comments coming in. Hold on, but I'm going to wait. To get more comments. But, is Brandon here? Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, so let's see if we can make this work, Brandon. Brandon, Could you see, before you come on, see if somebody can, maybe Micah or Jake can look at the camera so we can get a two-shot going here, because otherwise they won't be able to see you. So just say, hey, can somebody work the camera for 2 seconds, maybe? See, now you're not going to see this on mainstream media. This is real news. Thank you, Micah. Oh, okay. So we're going to introduce Brandon. We have to end kind of soon here. So Brandon, where are you? Come back. No, I want you to be on the show. So Brandon, let's see if we can do this. Maybe you can just stand. You can come next to me and pull this chair up. Now Brandon doesn't have a microphone. Oh, let's mic up Brandon. Okay, this is going to be our. Uh-oh. Michael, we'll make this the exciting end to the show. Does that sound good?
Yeah,
sure. Okay, this is our producer, Micah Messer. Am I pronouncing it right, Micah?
Yeah, sure.
Micah, we haven't introduced you yet, have we?
I'm on the show, not this show.
Oh, we were on a different show. So anyways, we got new people working here. Oh, and I should say, by the way, it's so exciting we're expanding. We have 2 new people who just started recently, Micah and Brandon, and they're both awesome. But it's costing us more, obviously, these guys are great, but they don't work for free, and I don't think they should. So if you do like our programming and want to see more of it and want us to keep expanding, we always appreciate donations here at Right Side. You can go to rsbn.tv/donate and donate to us, and even if it's a little bit, we know everybody's money's tight, but even a little bit we really appreciate. But if it's a lot, like $1 million, we also appreciate that too. So anyways, Brandon, is your mic? I think you're on, right?
I am on.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
So Brandon, you just started here at Right Side.
Correct.
And it's I know some of your story, but what I would love to ask you to do is tell the viewers a little bit about yourself, but I'm sort of asking for me as well so I can hear this. So just say hi to the viewers, tell them where you're from and how you came to Right Side.
Viewers, hello. Originally from Colorado, got here in Alabama yesterday actually. 21-hour hike, but it's fun. I'm glad to be here. I run a country radio station.
Give it a shout out if you want.
Sure. You can listen to this more traditional country, some new country. You can go to www.vrdoradio.com.
Okay.
Some people that may be watching this may know me as Raven with Raven Eggs and KX radio show, so syndicated heavy metal radio show I used to do.
I didn't even know this.
Yeah.
Is Jake a little worried? Because Jake was he was the big heavy metal guy before, and is he is he worried that you're kind of going to cramp on his?
Well, no. I love all music.
Okay, cool.
It's such a big contrast from country to heavy metal, and it was extreme metal, so it was black metal, death metal,
cool,
doom, power metal. So it was that type. You can look up Raven Eggs and Kegs radio show. I no longer do it because I run a country radio station and I'm doing this here with Right Side, and it was just too much for me to still do the entertainment thing. I was involved in a indie pro wrestling organization in Colorado as an in-ring announcer.
And in the future, when we have more time, we'll have you tell the story
definitely.
about when you got hurt because somebody body slammed you into the side of the ring.
Yeah, they actually pushed me to the turnbuckle and it hurt.
But that's a whole other story. But I want to hear also, the other thing I want to have you tell them is so how did you come to us? Did you find us, or what's the story there?
Well, the story here is I've been watching the Trump rallies.
Okay.
And I reached out to Right Side Broadcasting because I was I like to promote what you guys are doing on my side with the radio station. Mm-hmm. So I established a good relationship. We exchanged banner links, I guess you could sort of say, and swapped. And we always stayed in touch, and I've always done my share in terms of helping promote the feed and just doing as much support as possible.
And so you're just a supporter of the cause, and you were down with the Trump rallies, and,
Yes.
and you found us, and he's very modest, but he's an excellent producer as well, and he's also like created some new graphics. He's been here one day, and he's creating these awesome graphics. But the problem is you're setting this high bar now, where everybody has to do all this amazing work all the time because you're doing it so fast. See, Brandon, they can't. The door's shut. They can't hear us. So what we do around here, don't tell Joe. But like when we have a project and we know we can finish it in like X hours, we actually take 20X hours to do it. And that way, Joe like thinks like, oh, they're working really hard. And then we're kind of just, because, I mean, we want things to be good, but we want to have some fun here too. So,
Very true.
But, if anyone out there, don't tell Joe we just said this. But so we'll fill you in on all that stuff. So stop
I just
working.
work here.
Okay. But I'm kidding, by the way. But so we're really excited. We're so excited that Brandon is here. And what's your Twitter, by the way, if they want to follow you?
At Colorado Raven. At Colorado Raven.
Awesome. And so, again, I think you can see, we have a real person here. Mike is a real person. It's real news by real people for real people.
Very true.
And so, unfortunately, we got to go right now. So we can't go 2 hours like that person requested. Oh, the last thing I'm going to do, Brandon, I'm just going to see if anybody gave any shout outs here.
Sure.
And, a question for you. I'm so excited. You ready for a question before we end? We're going to end. Jake, we're going to end, Jake. Okay? Jeez, Jake. Maggie asks, does Brandon have a cubicle?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I'm real. I'm official. I have my own cube. And I'm going to leave it junky. I'm kidding.
You'll keep it clean? Good. Okay, so and can they see your cubicle on the office cam? Don't go away, we're about to end, so you want to stay here for the end. But on the office cam, they can see your cubicle.
Yes.
So now if you see on the office cam, and let me give a shout out, if you like Right Side, first of all, Wayne Dupree's coming up tonight, I believe, so you can watch him.
Wayne.
Wayne's great, and I think he's on it like in an hour, I think. I'm not sure. Well, check our schedule. Check our YouTube page. Also, if you like Right Side and you want to chat about Right Side, go to the RSBN chat room. You can find it. Well, whenever we have a show on, you can chat on YouTube on the side panel, which you also probably know. But 24 hours a day, we have Office Cam, and you can chat on the Office Cam. And Jude is one of the moderators, and she's great. So you can give a shout out to Jude if you're there and say hi. She goes by RSBN moderator. Oh wait. I might have revealed a secret. No, it's not a secret, is it? I hope it's not. So I'm sorry, Jude, if I revealed that, but I don't think it's a secret. But anyways, chat is great, so go to the chat. And we hope you've enjoyed the show. And and next week, remember, huge inauguration coverage coming. And one of the reasons we wanted to get Brandon here so fast is because you're going to be helping out next week.
I will.
We're going to have crazy inauguration coverage. It's going to be like wall to wall, all the events, deplorable. You looking forward to inauguration week, Wayne?
Oh, wow.
Wayne. I'm saying Wayne Dupree because he's coming on next. This is what happens. There's too many people right side now. Brandon, are you looking forward to inauguration?
I am. I was going to make a joke, but it's too easy.
Oh, well, it's easy about all black people are the same?
Yes.
See, that's not fair because we were just talking about Wayne Dupree. See, I will say, if there was a case when that was happened, I will admit to that happening.
Yes.
But I honestly believe that was a case where, because, anyways, but thank you. See, we can talk about this here.
We can.
So now that Brandon's not my friend anymore, and he's going to beat me up as soon as we end the show, we can end the show now. But Brandon, we're so excited to have you here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
And we're going to have you on again. And please let us know what you thought of the show. Comment on YouTube. Follow me at Twitter at Lookner and let me know what you thought. And we will see you soon. This has been Look, real news by real people for real people. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.